Made for Me, Chapter 35. Lars steadied Danielle in the elevator, then took to the task of finding the keys inside her purse, unlocking the door. He followed her in, removed her shoes, and ensured she could lock the door behind her, waiting to say goodbye until she had done so. He'd not told her he would call or be in touch, but this didn't dawn on her until the next morning. She slept late, skipped the lake, and studied her research reports, ate a light meal, and went to bed early. When Lars did enter her mind, she told herself that it had been a wonderful experience, and that would likely be all. She needed to concentrate on what she did best, and that was work. Danielle visited Stars and Stripes briefly on Tuesday and Thursday, calling 30 minutes in advance to ensure Andre wasn't present. She saw Lars at one management meeting, and she kept to her usual seat. She wanted him to see that she was calm and professional. She'd always enjoyed the banter they'd shared and assumed it would continue unabated. On that, she was wrong. He usually stopped by her office a few times each week, but hadn't visited her once since the gondola ride. Well, she told herself, this might be as new to him as it was to her. At least, she hoped so. And this was his way of compensating. Saturday night after the restaurant closed at 11, she and her best friends went dancing. You, Danielle, called one of the big bouncers Danielle recognized but didn't know his name. Bring your friends. He motioned them over, but much to the disgust of those waiting in line. Danielle thanked him, but told him once again that she was no longer with Andre. No problem, he said, winking at her and lifting the brass hook so they could pass through. Why do you keep doing that? Lonnie hissed in her ear. Because I don't want any of these people giving me special treatment in Andre's name or expecting him to join me. Looks like you're getting special treatment all on your own, said Stephen. The manager is either doing it because he wants to take you out or Andre has told him to keep treating you well. Maybe both. Danielle just shook her head. She then thought of Lars. She decided against saying a word to Lonnie. She didn't want to listen to Lonnie's conjectures about a romance or worry that Danielle had a rebound fling. Instead, she observed her friend and Stephen, watching their interaction, trying to assess if the recent changes in Lonnie's desire to wait on having children had lingering effects. It didn't seem so. Stephen's hands were always on Lonnie's shoulders, hips, or butt when she was nearby, and Lonnie seemed wholly engaged with her husband, even if she were dancing on the platform. Her thoughts were interrupted when Johan and Dario came over, inviting her to join them on stage. She willingly did so, enjoying the beats of the music and her two handsome and utterly platonic dancing partners. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of movement and music. Sunday morning, Danielle visited the zoo by herself, meandering through the place twice, at first wondering if she should get a pet, and by her second lap deciding the poor animal would die of loneliness. Animals, like people, need companionship. Early afternoon, she went for a sail, the lake chock full of pleasure crafts, a sure sign the season would soon be over. That evening, her father told her the year would go by without her noticing, and in the end, she'd congratulate herself for staying put. You'll wonder what you ever would have done had you come home, he predicted. When 2 weeks had passed since the evening in San Moritz, Danielle found herself relegating Lars to a slot in her file folder of physical transactions. She'd flip it open when she wanted to think about a momentary high, and the rest of the time, she kept it closed. Saturday evening was spent at Stars and Stripes. She wore her cowboy boots and short jean skirt, periodically singing to the country music as she delivered food to a packed house. Dancing typically followed until 2 a.m. The venue now a place of comfort and familiarity, not worry. She'd not seen Andre once, believing he was likely with his new girlfriend. She now went entire days without thinking of him, for which she was very thankful. When she did think of a man, it was usually Lars. Danielle found herself growing irritated at him for not stopping by her office. Perhaps he's the one that can't handle the notion of being with a coworker, not me, she thought. She also found it peculiar that it wasn't the aggressive, sexually charged time they spent in the gondola that she relived, but the quiet, emotion-filled interaction in the car. Friday morning, 4 weeks after the gondola ride, she attended a 30-minute meeting of the currency and gold traders. She'd decided she'd had enough with normalcy. She sat on the right side of the table, facing the water, 7 seats down, not 3. Lars was at the end. Ulrich, to his immediate left, updating the group on current events and the general objectives for the fall. Lars announced one trader was relocating to the States and wouldn't be replaced. Lars made eye contact with everyone in the room, including herself. with no variation or emotion as he conveyed his belief that the existing team was doing well enough to cover and exceed the existing objectives. Danielle listened without comment. She returned to her office to find 36 red roses on her desk. Andre? Lars? Danielle slowed her breathing as she opened the card. Congratulations on 7 billion, it read. Over halfway there. You have this, David. She suppressed her regret that it wasn't from either man, but appreciated David's gesture. The massive concoction was so large she had to place it on her side credenza. Well, at least one man in her life cared enough to send the very best.